Hello and welcome everyone to today's video. Today I'd like to talk about Cain rituals in the modern world because I believe that Satan is performing rituals before our very eyes all the time, and many of them are centered around the biblical account of the character Cain. Today I have a few examples of rituals that I believe that are occurring, and to start off, I will revisit the topic of the name Cain itself. In a previous video, I had talked about the root words and related words to the name Cain itself that you can find in the Bible. You have examples like Cain, which is the proper name of Cain, but it also means spear or lance. You have the word kana, which means to acquire or to buy. And then you have Kenny, which means a Kenite. But now I want to look at another potentially related word, the word curia. In our modern world, the curia is the central organization that handles the affairs of the Roman Catholic Church. But the word curia was also used to describe the proto-senate of ancient Rome and a king's council during the Middle Ages. The word curia, we are told, stems from the Greek words kyros and kyrios. And both of these Greek words are closely related to the Sabine word kyris, which means a spear. And as I've pointed out before, a spear is one of the definitions of the name Cain, so I believe that there is a connection here that is intentional. Next, we'll take a look at the mark of Cain, which is mentioned in Genesis chapter 4. After Cain slays Abel, the Lord said unto him, Therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. So one of Cain's defining characteristics would be some sort of mark on his body. I think we see that ritualized in today's world in the form of modern-day tattoos. According to this article by Pew Research Center, tattoos have grown in popularity in the Western world, with about a third of Americans having one and 80% of Americans admitting that society has become more accepting of tattoos. I don't think that this surge of popularity is incidental, and I think it serves as a quiet homage to Cain. Next, we'll take a look at what Cain offered up to God as a sacrifice. In Genesis, it states that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. With Cain's offering of fruits and vegetables, I think we see this taken to the extreme in modern-day vegetarianism and veganism. While these practices are popular today, they've been around for quite some time. I do find it interesting that it seemingly took a hiatus during the so-called Middle Ages with the Christianization of the Roman Empire. Veganism and vegetarianism would not return to Europe until what we know as the Renaissance. I think there may be a deeper reason why practices like veganism and vegetarianism re-emerged after the so-called Dark Ages, but that's a topic for another day. Next, we read in Genesis that Cain is cursed by God, and that when he tilleth the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. So, my question is that if Cain could not do any farming, how would he get his food? He most likely would have needed to hunt and forage for food. And we are often told that our early ancestors were hunter-gatherers, but what if that was just a cover story and a quiet ritual for Cain? Even in this article from Nat Geo, it mentions that these hunter-gatherers needed to use mobility as a survival strategy, which mirrors Cain's vagabond status. Staying on the topic of early humans, I want to also look at the purported importance of fire in human development. Research and articles like this one from the Smithsonian suggest that fire was important for the development of the human brain. The idea is that fire would allow humans to cook food and get more nutrients from their food, which led to more brain development and better cognitive function. This seems plausible enough, but I do think that it's suspiciously close to the story of Prometheus. Prometheus being the Titan god that stole divine fire out of heaven and gave it to mortal mankind, granting them wisdom. And the story of Prometheus seems to be a corruption of the account of Genesis when Eve is tempted into eating fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Genesis states that after Adam and Eve ate the fruit, that the eyes of them both were opened and they knew that they were naked, and so on. So this idea that early humans needed fire to become who they are seems to be a corruption of the biblical account in the Garden of Eden. I do think that whenever we hear about early humans or cavemen, it's actually a corruption of the story in Genesis about Adam and Eve. For example, when so-called cavemen are depicted, they're often depicted with clothing made out of animal skin, are said to have hunted things like lions and leopards for their skins. This seems plausible enough, but when you look at the account in Genesis, it is said that God made coats of skins and clothed Adam and Eve prior to their exit from the Garden of Eden, with the interpretation here being that these skins were made out of animal pelts. So even when you look at the concept of cavemen, the idea being that early humans lived in caves to hide away from the weather or from predators, it mirrors this idea of the Cave of Treasures, which can be found in books like the first book of Adam and Eve. The Cave of Treasures is where Adam and Eve allegedly lived after they were banished from the Garden of Eden. So even the story of the caveman seems to come from the biblical account of Adam and Eve. So it seems that not only Cain, but Adam and Eve are ritualized, and their story is retold to us through these misrepresentations and these scientific terms without us realizing it. At least that's my opinion. But thank you for watching this video, and thank you for your time.